Hi everyone. Welcome to English Story School, where we bring the magic of storytelling to life, helping you improve your English skills in the most engaging and fun way. Have you ever paused to think about the deep lessons nature is quietly offering us every single day? Imagine, for a moment, that the trees, the rivers, and even the mountains are not just passive elements of the landscape, but active teachers, each one carrying wisdom that can shape the way we live and pursue our dreams. The great outdoors is often thought of as a retreat, a place to escape from the chaos of our busy lives. But what if it's more than that? What if, in the stillness of nature, we find the most profound lessons about who we are and who we can become? Picture this. You're standing at the edge of a vast forest. The air is fresh and crisp, filled with the scent of pine and earth. Above, the sky stretches endlessly, a bright canvas painted in shades of blue. The world around you hums with life. Birds darting through the trees, a stream flowing steadily beside you, and the soft rustling of leaves in the gentle breeze. Time feels different here. It's not governed by clocks, but by the rhythm of nature itself. And yet, despite the stillness, this environment is full of life lessons that we, often too busy to notice, might be overlooking. Let's begin with the trees. Look around you, and you'll see them towering above, their trunks thick and strong, standing like sentinels of the earth. Their branches stretch high, reaching toward the sky as though they're yearning to touch the heavens. No matter how fierce the winds may blow, no matter how heavy the rain might fall, or how intense the storms rage, these trees stand resilient, unshaken by the forces of nature. From the outside, they appear unmovable, unyielding, as if nothing could ever bring them down. But if you were to dig a little deeper, if you were to take a closer look at the hidden world beneath the surface, you would discover something truly remarkable. Beneath the soil, the tree's roots stretch far and wide. They don't just anchor one tree alone. They connect with the roots of other trees, forming an intricate network beneath the forest floor. It's as if the trees are quietly whispering to one another, sharing nutrients, passing on strength, and offering support in times of need. This hidden root system is what gives the trees their incredible strength. It's what allows them to stand firm when the storm rages above. The lesson here is profound. The trees don't rely solely on what is visible above ground to endure. It is the unseen, the roots, that give them the stability they need to survive, to stand tall, to grow. This is where the first lesson comes in: resilience and connection. Life, much like the trees, will inevitably bring storms, times when we face challenges, hardships, and failures. There will be moments when it feels as though the weight of the world is bearing down on us, when it seems that we can't stand any longer. But just as trees weather the fiercest of storms, so too can we. How? It's all about the foundation we build, our roots. Just as the tree's roots delve deep into the soil, we must anchor ourselves in the things that matter most: our values, our relationships, our sense of purpose. Think about it. The trees don't stand alone. They are part of a greater network of life. Their roots are connected, reaching out to others, offering support when needed. In the same way, our foundation comes not only from within, but from the people we surround ourselves with, our family, friends, mentors, and community. It's the strength of these connections that helps us endure when life throws its storms our way. Just as the trees rely on the earth to provide them with nutrients, we rely on each other for support, encouragement, and strength. When life challenges us, it's easy to feel isolated, as if we are standing alone against the world. But like the trees, we must remember that we are not alone. Our roots, our connections to others, are what give us the strength to keep standing, to keep growing, to keep reaching toward the sky, even when the winds of adversity blow the hardest. It's in these moments of struggle that our resilience is tested, but it's also in these moments that we have the opportunity to grow stronger, just like the trees that weather the storms year after year. Moreover, trees teach us that resilience is not just about surviving the storm, but also about thriving in spite of it. Think about how trees continue to grow even after enduring powerful storms. Their roots become deeper, their trunks grow stronger, and their branches stretch even further. In the same way, our challenges can help us grow, not only by forcing us to adapt, but also by teaching us lessons that make us more capable, more compassionate, and more grounded. So the next time you stand beneath a tree, take a moment to reflect on its silent, steady strength. Notice how it stands tall despite the winds, how it leans on the support of its fellow trees. Let that be a reminder to you that, just like the tree, you have within you an incredible capacity for resilience and growth. The storms will come, but as long as you stay grounded in what truly matters, and as long as you lean on the support of others, you will rise again, stronger, wiser, and ready to reach new heights. In life, we must not only endure the storms, but we must learn to grow from them. Like the trees, we can weather the hardest of winds when we are deeply rooted in our values and connected to the people who help us stand tall. And as we grow, we, too, can reach toward the sky, knowing that the foundation we've built will always support us in our journey forward. Next, let's turn our gaze to the river. Picture yourself standing beside a winding stream, its waters sparkling in the sunlight, cutting through the landscape like a silver ribbon. The river moves with purpose, its flow constant and steady, never stagnant, always moving forward. There's something mesmerizing about the way the water glides over smooth stones, dances around obstacles, and weaves its way through the natural world. It's as if the river has a quiet determination, a relentless drive to keep going, no matter what lies in its path. And this is where the river has a powerful lesson to teach us. As you watch the river, you may notice that unlike us, the river never hesitates or questions its journey. It simply flows. But that doesn't mean the path is always easy. The river encounters obstacles, rocks that disrupt its flow, fallen branches that block its way, or sharp turns in its course that threaten to change its direction. Yet, the river doesn't stop. It doesn't freeze or become discouraged. Instead, it adapts. It finds a way around the rocks. It pushes its way over the branches. And when the path turns unexpectedly, it simply shifts course, finding a new route forward. This is the river's gift to us. the lesson of persistence and adaptability. Life is rarely a straight line. It's more like the winding path of a river, full of unexpected twists, turns, and obstacles that we can't always foresee. Sometimes we face setbacks that feel insurmountable. Perhaps a failure at work, a difficult relationship, or an unexpected health challenge. We might feel like we've reached a dead end, a place where progress is impossible. But just like the river, we must refuse to stop. The river shows us that stagnation is never the answer. When faced with a challenge, the river doesn't give up. It finds a way through, around, or over. Consider for a moment the way a river flows over rocks. The water doesn't stop just because a boulder blocks its path. Instead, it moves around the obstacle, gently carving a new route. Over time, the river may even shape the very rock it encounters, wearing it down bit by bit. It's a perfect metaphor for how we, too, can approach life's difficulties. Sometimes we may feel like we're up against something too big to overcome. But just like the river, we can find a way to keep moving forward, even if it means adjusting our approach. We may need to take a different path, try a new solution, or gather our strength to push through. But the key is not to stop. The river also teaches us about adapting to change. Rivers are constantly changing. They shift course over time, they change with the seasons, and their flow is affected by the rain or lack thereof. The river doesn't resist change, it flows with it. This ability to bend and adapt is crucial in our own lives. We cannot control everything that comes our way, but we can control how we respond. Like the river, we can learn to navigate through the shifting currents of life, adjusting our sails when necessary, and staying committed to our journey, no matter how unpredictable it may seem. When we encounter obstacles, we often feel frustrated or defeated. But the river reminds us that the solution is not to fight against the current, but to find a way to flow with it. The more we resist the natural course of things, the more difficult the journey becomes. But when we allow ourselves to be flexible, when we find creative ways around the rocks and branches, we allow ourselves the freedom to continue moving forward. The river doesn't focus on the obstacles. It focuses on the destination, and that's what drives it onward. The river's persistence also reminds us that progress doesn't always look the way we expect. It's not always a dramatic leap forward. Sometimes it's a slow and steady flow. The river doesn't get discouraged when it encounters a small setback. It simply keeps moving, knowing that every small movement adds up to something greater over time. In the same way, our goals may not always come to fruition immediately, but every step we take brings us closer to where we want to be. And just like the river, we must trust in the process, knowing that persistence will eventually pay off. When you watch a river, you witness something truly extraordinary, a natural force that continues its journey no matter what, a silent but unwavering symbol of resilience. It teaches us that life isn't about avoiding obstacles. It's about learning how to adapt and keep moving. No matter how many rocks, branches, or sharp turns we face, as long as we keep flowing, we will carve out our own path. So, the next time you find yourself stuck at an impasse, remember the river. Don't stop. Keep flowing, adapt, and find a way through. Life is a journey of constant movement. And as the river shows us, progress is not about the absence of obstacles, but about how we keep moving one step or one current at a time. The river's lessons of persistence and adaptability are reminders that no matter what life throws in our way, we can keep pushing forward, navigating around setbacks, and continuing on the path toward our goals. Just like the river, we must trust that every twist, turn, and obstacle is just part of the journey, and the key is to never stop flowing. Now let's talk about the mountains. When we gaze up at these towering giants, it's easy to feel awestruck, almost insignificant in their immense presence. Their sheer size and strength command our respect. From the rugged peaks covered in snow to the towering cliffs that seem to touch the sky, the mountains stand as symbols of power, endurance, and timeless beauty. They've witnessed centuries pass by, standing tall while the world below them changes. And yet, there's a fascinating story behind how these majestic formations came to be. It's important to remember that the mountains weren't created overnight. Their towering heights weren't built in a single moment or with one mighty strike. They rose slowly, shaped over thousands, and in some cases, millions of years by forces far beyond their control. Every mountain was formed one small step at a time, one rock, one layer of earth at a time. The winds, the rains, the shifting tectonic plates deep within the earth. All of these forces contributed to the creation of the mountains we see today. What's remarkable is that in all their might and grandeur, these majestic peaks weren't built in a hurry. They didn't rise suddenly or all at once. Instead, they were shaped by an endless series of gradual, persistent changes. The mountains stand as a perfect reminder that greatness takes time. It's easy to look at a mountain and marvel at its towering beauty, but what we often forget is that such grandeur doesn't happen overnight. The highest peaks didn't rise to their majestic heights instantly. They were shaped over time, slowly, almost imperceptibly, through the patient forces of nature. The process of mountain building is one of persistence, resilience, and slow, steady change. The rocks and layers that make up a mountain have been pressed and compacted over time, creating a structure so strong, so enduring, that it can stand the test of time for millennia. This lesson is one we can all learn from when it comes to our own dreams and aspirations. Mountains don't simply appear. They're made up of countless small efforts over a long period of time. Similarly, our dreams and ambitions won't manifest instantly. They won't come to fruition in the blink of an eye. Great things take time, and the path to success is rarely quick or easy. Just as the mountain didn't rise to its majestic height overnight, we too must understand that the journey to our goals is a slow and steady climb, filled with obstacles and challenges that will require persistence and determination to overcome. Imagine the climbers who attempt to scale the tallest peaks. The journey to the summit is never easy. The path is steep, the air thinner, the weather unpredictable. There are moments of doubt, of exhaustion, of questioning whether the climb is worth it. But those who succeed are the ones who keep going, even when the summit is shrouded in clouds, out of sight. They don't stop just because the mountain seems too daunting. Instead, they take it step by step, one foothold at a time, trusting that each small effort brings them closer to their goal. These climbers don't expect the peak to appear in a single leap. They understand that the summit is reached gradually through persistence, patience, and consistent effort. The same is true for us. When we set our sights on a dream or a goal, it can often feel overwhelming. The summit, the achievement we're working toward, might seem far out of reach. We might look at successful people and think that they've somehow found an easier path to their own mountains. But the truth is, they've climbed their mountains one small step at a time. They've faced setbacks, difficulties, and moments of doubt, but they kept going. The path may be steep, and the climb may be tough, but every step forward, no matter how small, brings us closer to the top. There's something else the mountains can teach us. They are constantly evolving. While the changes are slow, they're never static. The erosion from wind and rain, the pressure from tectonic forces deep in the earth, these are all reminders that the process of growth and change is ongoing. Even the strongest mountains are not fixed in time. They are constantly being reshaped. The same is true for our own growth. We don't reach our peak and stop. Life's challenges and experiences shape us as we go. Even when we feel like we've reached the top of our personal mountain, we are still evolving, still being shaped by the world around us. And here's another lesson. The highest peaks we admire were not built by one great effort, but by many small, persistent efforts over time. Every small rock, every shift in the Earth's crust, every moment of pressure contributed to creating the vast peaks we now find awe-inspiring. Just like the mountains, the work we put into our dreams often happens in the quiet, unnoticed moments. The times when we keep going, even when it seems like nothing is changing. Persistence pays off, even when progress feels imperceptible. Like the mountain that rises slowly through time, we too grow through consistent effort. So, the next time you look at a mountain, remember, its greatness didn't come easily, and it didn't happen overnight. It was built through slow, steady perseverance, through countless small actions that, over time, created something magnificent. The same is true for our dreams. They won't appear instantly, but if we are patient, if we persist through the tough climbs and keep working steadily toward our goals, we too will reach the summit. The mountains remind us that greatness requires time, patience, and consistency. It's not the quick, easy path that leads to the greatest achievements. It's the slow, steady climb that tests our endurance, our willpower, and our ability to stay focused on the summit, even when the journey is long and the top seems far away. So, keep climbing, keep going, and remember, just like the mountains, your greatness is being built one small step at a time. As we wander deeper into nature, we begin to notice a profound and powerful lesson that often goes unnoticed in the hustle and bustle of our everyday lives. It's a lesson hidden in plain sight, in the way the forest grows and evolves with time. The forest is not just a collection of trees. It is a living, breathing organism in constant flux, a place where change is not feared but embraced, where growth is born from the process of letting go. This is most evident when an old tree falls. While we might initially see the fallen tree as a loss, nature immediately shows us a different perspective. When an old tree falls to the forest floor, it doesn't leave a void, a gap, or a permanent scar. Instead, something truly remarkable happens. The fallen tree, once a towering presence in the forest, becomes a source of nourishment, creating space for new life to grow. Over time, it decays, turning into rich compost that feeds the soil, allowing new plants, flowers, and even young trees to sprout in its place. What might seem like a final end is, in fact, the beginning of something new. The cycle of life, death, decay, and renewal is constant, and it's this cycle that allows the forest to thrive and evolve year after year, decade after decade, and century after century. This process, though natural in the wild, offers us a profound lesson about life and growth. In our own lives, we often hold on to what's familiar. We cling to old habits, outdated beliefs, past mistakes, or even toxic relationships because we fear change. We become attached to the comfort of what we know, even if it no longer serves us, because the idea of letting go feels like a loss. But just as the fallen tree makes room for new life in the forest, we too must learn to release what no longer serves us in order to make room for new beginnings, growth, and possibilities. Think about it. When we hold on to the past, we become weighed down by it, just like the old tree clinging to its place in the forest. We might feel safe in our comfort zones, but we also limit our potential for growth. In order to evolve, to truly step into the next phase of our lives, we must allow ourselves to be part of the natural cycle of renewal. This doesn't mean that we forget or discard the lessons of the past. It means we acknowledge them, learn from them, and then let them go so that we can embrace what comes next. There's a beauty in the way the forest teaches us this principle. The forest doesn't resist change. It doesn't fight the falling of the old tree. In fact, the ecosystem thrives because of it. When one life ends, others are able to flourish in its place. The air is fresher, the ground is richer, and the space once occupied by the old tree now becomes fertile ground for new ideas, new growth, and new experiences. This is the very essence of life itself. Change is not something to fear. It is something to welcome, something to embrace with open arms, for it brings the opportunity for renewal, for transformation. In our personal journeys, embracing change is essential to our growth. It's about understanding that nothing stays the same forever, and that's not a bad thing. Life is a constant cycle, much like the seasons. We have our spring, when new opportunities bloom. We have our summer, when we feel alive and thriving. We have our fall, when we might feel the need to slow down and reflect. And we have our winter, when things might seem dormant or even like they're coming to an end. But just as nature moves through these cycles, so too do we. And with every ending, there is always a new beginning. The act of releasing what no longer serves us can be difficult, especially when it involves parting with things we have known for a long time. It can feel like a personal loss, much like watching a tree fall in the forest. But remember that the process of letting go is what allows us to evolve, to become more aligned with who we are meant to be. By letting go of outdated beliefs, unhelpful patterns, or toxic elements of our lives, we are making room for something better, something more suited to our current selves. Imagine if the trees of the forest never released their leaves, or if the fallen trees were never allowed to decay and nurture the soil. The forest would become stagnant. Nothing new would grow. But instead, nature shows us the power of transformation through release. By embracing the cycle of change, by trusting that the universe will bring new opportunities after each loss, we make room for personal growth, new experiences, and deeper understanding. This idea of releasing what no longer serves us can also extend to our relationships. We might feel attached to people who once played an important role in our lives, but who no longer align with who we are or where we're going. Letting go of relationships that drain us or hold us back doesn't mean we are giving up on others. It simply means we are allowing ourselves to grow and make space for the people who will support and uplift us. Just like the fallen tree, these relationships might have been vital at one point in our lives, but once they are no longer serving us, it's time to let go and trust that new, more fulfilling connections will take their place. When we look at nature, we realize that everything is in constant motion. Nothing is static. The very process of life is built on cycles of creation and destruction, growth and decay. To truly live, to truly grow, we must learn to trust this cycle, to release what is no longer necessary, and to make room for new beginnings. The forest doesn't fear the loss of an old tree. It understands that loss is an integral part of growth. By letting go, we open ourselves to the possibility of flourishing in ways we never imagined. So, the next time you find yourself holding on to something or someone out of fear, remember the forest. Remember that letting go isn't an end. It's a powerful step toward transformation and renewal. Embrace the cycles of life. Trust that with every ending comes a new beginning. And in the space created by release, new growth, new opportunities, and new experiences can flourish. And just like the trees, we will find that the forest of our lives becomes richer, more vibrant, and full of endless possibilities. In a world that constantly demands our attention, where the hustle and bustle of daily life surrounds us, it can sometimes feel impossible to find a moment of peace. Our days are filled with noise, phones ringing, people talking, cars honking, the constant flow of information, and the relentless ticking of the clock. The world moves at a dizzying speed, and we often find ourselves swept up in it, rushing from one task to the next, always busy, always occupied. Yet in the midst of all this noise, there is a lesson that is both timeless and vital, a lesson that nature, in its quiet wisdom, has to offer. That lesson is the power of stillness. When we venture into the great outdoors, we step into a world that operates at a different pace, one that doesn't rush, doesn't demand our constant attention, and doesn't try to overwhelm us with distractions. Whether it's the stillness of a dense forest, the tranquility of a calm lake, or the peaceful solitude of a mountaintop, nature provides us with a refuge from the chaos of modern life. In these sacred spaces, the noise of the world fades away, and what remains is a deep, almost palpable silence, one that feels both vast and intimate at the same time. It's in these moments of quiet that we are given the space to truly reconnect with ourselves. Stillness is not just the absence of noise. It is the presence of peace. It's the kind of peace that we can only find when we allow ourselves to stop, to be still, and to simply exist in the moment. In nature's stillness, we hear our own thoughts more clearly. The distractions that cloud our minds when we're caught up in the rush of life begin to dissipate, and we can finally hear the whispers of our hearts, the long-forgotten dreams, the quiet wisdom that always surrounds us, but which we often overlook in our busy lives. This is a rare gift in today's world, a chance to step back, breathe deeply, and simply be. Take, for example, the stillness of a forest. As you walk along its winding paths, the trees stand silent and strong, their branches swaying gently in the breeze. The earth beneath your feet is soft, the air is fresh, and the only sounds you hear are the birds in the trees or the occasional rustle of leaves. In that moment, the world outside the forest seems to fade away. The constant demands, the to-do lists, the noise, none of it matters here. All that matters is the quiet, the space to reflect, and the opportunity to hear your own thoughts without interruption. It's a rare kind of silence, the kind that allows us to find clarity, to pause and reassess, to think deeply about where we've been and where we're going. Similarly, a calm lake offers a different kind of stillness, a stillness that is reflected in the water itself. The surface is so smooth, so undisturbed, that it mirrors the sky above and the trees surrounding it. When you stand by the lake, looking out over the still water, you can almost feel the stillness seep into your own being. The world around you becomes muted, and for a moment, time itself seems to slow down. In this stillness, we are reminded that we don't always need to be in motion to make progress, that it's okay to rest, to pause, and to simply be. The lake teaches us that there is strength in calmness, that sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is allow ourselves the time to be still and listen. The mountains, too, offer their own kind of stillness, a stillness that invites solitude and introspection. When you stand at the foot of a towering peak or sit on a quiet mountaintop, you can't help but feel small in the face of such immensity. Yet, there's a quiet strength in the mountains, a profound silence that speaks volumes. It's a silence that teaches us to stop striving for a moment, to release our need for constant achievement, and to simply be present with the vastness of the world. In the solitude of the mountains, we find a space to recharge, to think, to reflect, and to reconnect with our inner selves. The mountains remind us that greatness doesn't always come from constant action or relentless movement. Sometimes, greatness comes from taking the time to pause, to reflect, and to listen to what is truly important. The outdoors in all its forms invites us to slow down. In our fast-paced, productivity-driven lives, we often forget the importance of taking a break, of allowing ourselves to just be. We fill our days with noise. Whether it's the hum of technology, the chatter of other people, or the endless demands on our time. Yet in nature, we are given permission to turn off the noise, to put down the distractions, and to simply exist in the moment. In this stillness, we are reminded of the importance of slowing down and listening, not just to the world around us, but to ourselves. Listening is a skill that is often drowned out by the noise of our modern lives. We rarely take the time to listen to our own hearts, to tune into what we really want, what we really need, and what truly matters to us. But when we are still, whether it's in the forest, by the lake, or on the mountaintop, we are able to hear the quiet wisdom that has always been there, waiting for us to stop and listen. This wisdom isn't loud or forceful. It's subtle, it's gentle, and it requires us to be present. It's in the stillness that we reconnect with our inner selves, with our dreams, and with the quiet knowing that everything we need to move forward is already within us. The stillness of nature also teaches us the importance of reflection. When we allow ourselves the space to be still, we create an opportunity for deep thought, for introspection, and for clarity. We can reflect on our lives, on the choices we've made, the paths we've taken, and the people we've met. We can consider where we are, where we want to go, and what changes we need to make in order to live more fully and authentically. The stillness allows us to step out of the whirlwind of our daily routines and to reconnect with the bigger picture. It gives us the perspective we need to make better decisions, to course correct, and to move forward with purpose. But perhaps most importantly, the stillness of nature teaches us how to recharge. In our fast-paced world, we are constantly giving our energy to others, to our work, and to the demands of life. But we often forget the importance of taking time to replenish ourselves, to refuel our own inner reserves. Nature, in its stillness, offers us the opportunity to rest, to recharge, and to return to the world with renewed strength and clarity. In the quiet of the outdoors, we can fill our hearts with peace, our minds with clarity, and our spirits with energy, ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead. So, in a world that never stops, the great outdoors offers us a rare and precious gift, the opportunity to be still. It invites us to slow down, to listen, to reflect, and to recharge. In the stillness, we find the space to reconnect with ourselves, to hear the wisdom within, and to rediscover the peace that is always available to us, if only we take the time to stop and listen. So, what can we learn from all these natural wonders? The trees, the rivers, the mountains, and the forests offer us lessons in resilience, persistence, patience, renewal, and stillness. They remind us that life is not a straight line. There will be storms, there will be obstacles, and there will be moments when we feel lost. But just like the trees, the rivers, and the mountains, we have the power to endure, adapt, and grow. Nature shows us that the journey is just as important as the destination. And the most profound lessons we can learn often come in the quiet, steady moments along the way. Moments when we listen to the wisdom that nature is offering us every day. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.